Hi everyone, Quill for Hands here again. As I promised in my previous video, I'm going to show you now how I make my tarot bags. Just simple tarot bags like this one. It's a pretty easy thing to do, so you can do this. Okay, things you'll need is, well, some kind of idea on how the pattern has to look like. So I wrote it down for you. This is not the actual size, it's just so you can get an idea on how it's going to look like. You obviously need a tarot deck. This is my Ludy Lescot Tarot. You need this because you want to measure the size. So it's quite neat if you have some there. You'll need some fabric. I'm going to use this for the inside and this for the outside. You'll need some measurement tool. It doesn't have to be this or something like this. It could be like a ruler or something. It's just, you just have to measure things. So you'll need that. Obviously, you'll need a needle and some pins and yarn. And it's necessary to have a scissor. Preferably, it should be a scissor you only cut fabric with, because these are really sharp, and you shouldn't cut like paper with a scissor you use for sewing. So that's a no-go. So you need a very sharp scissor, and it's nice if you have something to kind of paint or write on the fabric with. So this is just some crayon. So I can kind of brush it off the fabric after I used it. Okay, that's it. That's all you need. I know this looks quite confusing right now, but I'll just talk you through. Don't worry. Okay, things you'll need first is just the exact measurements. So you want to know how high is your deck, how wide is your deck, and you need to know how, well, what's the size of the sides of the deck as well. So I'm going to measure this. Let's see if I can do this on camera, because the tripod's in the way. I kept the silk cloth on just so I can kind of add just a bit, I don't know, 1-2 millimeters to the actual size of the deck. Okay, so it's, let's take 7 centimeters and 3 millimeters. Oh, I forgot a pen. I'll be right back. Okay, magically, here's a pen. So what did I say? I think it was 7.3. Yes, we'll take 7.3. So from here to there, it's 7.3 centimeters. Okay, now I need the size of the deck from the top to the bottom. So I'm just adding a couple of millimeters here, so it's not too tight. I'll take 12 centimeters and 6 millimeters for that. So from here down to here, it's 12 millimeters and 6 millimeters. These measurements here, you could also write down here, because it's the same, obviously, because front and back is equal each other. So that's pretty obvious. Okay, then you need to know the height. So I'm out of frame, I'm sorry. Just from the table to the up part. And again, I'm adding just like 2 millimeters or so. So it's 2.7. So these are the main measurements you need. Then if you want to do a flap like I want to, and I don't want to do it like this one, but I want it to be kind of pointy, like a triangle. So I need to know how far I want the flat to come down on the actual deck. And as I want to use the same, where did I put those? Holy cow, I'm really unprepared. I'll be right back. Okay, back again. I want to use these things to close the bag. So I need to look where to put those. And I think this is as far down as I can go without it looking stupid. So the flap can go down to this point, no further. So I'm going to measure that as well, just from the top down here. And I think I'll take an even number right now, so I'll take the 7. It will go just a tad bit up, like this. So it's 7 centimeters for the flap. From here to the very top, it's 7 centimeters. Okay. Now for all these little tiny dots here. Obviously, you want the fabric to go over the sides as well. Not only the top and the bottom, but over the sides. So you need like half the side on each, added on each side of the pattern. So I'm just adding the whole number to get the width that I need. So I know already that the side of the deck is 2.7. So again, I'm adding, if I had to divide it now, it would be 1.35 centimeters. I'm not gonna do that, but I'm just, for you to see this, I'm going to write it down. So I have here half of the side. So it would be 1.35 centimeters on each of the sides. So again, it's just the same number as this one you're going to add. So these are the measurements you need. All around it, I kind of put down the seam allowance. You need that. I'm usually using 1 centimeter for that. So it'll be a total of 2 centimeters added, right? 1 centimeter here, 1 centimeter here. I hope you can understand what I'm saying. I hope I'm not too fast, but I'm going to show it again when I'm cutting the fabric. So I hope you can kind of get what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's see what we need, like overall. We need the front, which is what is the same as the bottom, so it's 12.6 centimeters. We need the bottom. It's the same as the back, of course, not like the bottom. We need the bottom, as I said, so it's 2.7 centimeters. We then need the back, which is again 12.6 centimeters. We need the top, again 2.7 centimeters. We need the flap, so it's 7 centimeters, and we need the seam allowance, so I'm adding 2 centimeters. So that's the overall length that I need. Okay? I'm writing it down, length. Then for the width, I need, obviously, like the usual front part of the deck, which was 7.3 centimeters. I need half of the side on each side, so I need 1 side additionally. So which is the same as like the top and the bottom. So I'm adding the 2.7 here. And again, you need 2 centimeters of seam allowance. So that's the measurements you need. Again, I hope you get what I'm saying. Because I know that from watching other videos, this can be quite confusing at times. But trust me, if you try it out yourself, it's not that difficult. Really, it isn't that difficult. You just have to try it yourself, and you'll see that it'll be all right. Okay, so I'm quickly just see what's the result here, and I'll be right back. All right, I've quickly done the math. So from the very bottom to the very top, just up here, you need, or I need in this case, 39.6 centimeters. And I've written down another number down here, and you can see that I've made a mistake before, but I'm no pro, this can happen. Because I also needed the length from the very bottom up to this point here where the flap starts. So I just had to subtract the 7 centimeters of the flap and just 1 time of seam allowance. So it was -8 centimeters, and I did -9 before, but okay, -8 centimeters. So for this length, just up to here, we will need, or I will need 31.6 centimeters. And then just from the very side to the very other side, we will need exactly 12 centimeters. So that's my measurement. Your measurement might differ a lot, just in regards of the size of your tarot deck. So I just wanted to ensure that you really understand what measurements you need and where to kind of put them in the pattern. So I will cut out the fabric just like this with the measurements that I've written down here, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm done now with just painting on the measurements on my cloth, on my fabric. Because this is a leftover, there are no straight sides on this fabric. So I had to kind of paint down the whole a pattern that I need, or the whole sizes, all of the sizes that I need. But if you have like a straight line down here, maybe because there's the side of the cloth you bought, whatever, then you can obviously use that and work from there. But because I didn't have that, I had to kind of dot everything on. I don't know if you can see it properly, but I used the this little thing here. And I first just did the whole square, or the whole, I don't know, the whole thing, and then I just found the middle up here and just dotted it. And then I went down through the 8 centimeters that we didn't need and kind of lined those points up to get the triangle shape on top. Okay, I don't know if you can see it properly, but I just wanted to show you how I kind of go on bringing like the pattern onto the cloth actually. So I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm using this on my black cloth, so both parts equal each other perfectly. Because if I just would paint down the same measurements again on this cloth, it will probably kind of differ just a bit, even if it's just, I don't know, like 5 millimeters or so, but it will differ just a bit. But I want them to be like similar or exactly the same. So I'm using this on the black cloth afterwards. So I'm just going to cut it, and I'm doing it off camera just because I really have to see what I am doing. I mean, I'm actually doing a tarot bag right now, so I don't want to mess this up. But it's just following these little dots kind of trying to create really straight lines and just cutting it all off. And we don't need these parts here because we wanted the flap, or I wanted the flap to be kind of pointy. Okay, so I'm going to do this and I'll be right back. Okay, now this is what I ended up with. This is the part that I cut out. One thing that's of importance, I think, is you have to iron the fabric before you use it or before you cut it out. Just because it's a lot more easy to handle if it's kind of free of any folds. So that's something you really should do. If you buy fabric just to create something, it's always a good advice to wash it first, wash and dry it first, because it might shrink. I think with tarot bags, it's not a great importance there, because if you don't kind of spill juice over your tarot bags, you're probably not going to wash them a lot. So I don't think it's that important to wash those fabrics first. I then placed the this fabric on top of the wool to cut around the edges now. You can see I have a pretty straight line up here and I have a straight line down here, so I don't have to worry about those. I just have to cut around the other edges. You could pin the fabrics together with like some needles, but I'm not going to do that because this fabric kind of sticks in a way to the wool, so I'm quite lucky with it. But if you're using different fabrics, you should probably pin them together, just so you're safe. Okay, I'm going to cut around the edges of the black cloth now, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the finished result in a way. Okay, now it can be a bit tricky. It really isn't, but you have to be a bit careful because I am going to include two new terms now, which is the right side and the left side of a fabric. In my case, it really doesn't matter at all because, as you can see, both sides are identical with this fabric and with this fabric as well. But this isn't the case with all fabrics. I don't know how familiar you are with sewing stuff, so I want to make sure that you kind of get what I'm saying, even if you're using, even if you're using different fabrics. So I brought this fabric in here. I'm going to push this to the side. I brought this fabric not because I'm going to use it, but because this is one you can really see what I mean with right and left side of a fabric. So, oopsie, a lot of fabric here. I need to find the beginning. Okay, so this side of a cloth that you want to be seen, so in this case it's this blue, all right, is the right side, like right, the right side. The side that you don't want to be seen, in this case it's this lighter color here, is the left side. So right and left. So if you have a fabric with kind of I don't know, which is printed just on one side very nicely with some flowers or whatever you are going to use, it really doesn't matter. Make sure that the right side is the side that you want to be seen. So in this case, it might be the flowers or the heart or whatever it is. The left side is the side that you don't want to be seen. So this is important if you are using fabrics that look different from like whatever side you're choosing. So like I said, in my case, it really doesn't matter because my fabric doesn't differ. But if you're using fabric that differs regarding the side you're looking at, make sure you know the terms right and left in this case. Because now what you want to do is you want to put the right sides of each cloth together. So this would be the right side and this would be the right side. And you put them just on top of each other. So the sides you're looking at right now, this is the left side and this is the left side. Okay, I hope you could quite grasp it because it's a bit bad that I'm not using a fabric right now where you can really see the difference, or where I can really show you the difference. But I mean, I'm doing a real bag right now, so I didn't want to make one just for you to see. Again, put the right sides together, left side up on and down. And what you're going to do now is you're going to pin the fabric together at this side. So the side that's contrary, I don't know, on the other side of this point here. Okay, you're going to pin this together because this is going to be the next step. I think it's always easiest to use just some needles for that. So some pins, because that's what they are for. And just one more, so I'm quite sure. What I'm going to do right now as well is I'm just going to do some here. Not because I need it, because I'm not going to sew there right now, but just for safekeeping, so it's not kind of slipping off of each other. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to sew this side here together. And we have a seam allowance of 1 centimeter, just to remember that. So you're going to sew 1 centimeter off of the edge to the inside. But importance, here's an importance notation. Don't sew like the whole of it. You're just going to sew like maybe 2 centimeters from the left side and 2 centimeters from the right side, leaving the middle part open. This is important because you have to turn your fabric in the last step through this gap. So you really, really need this gap. This is of great importance. Don't sew it all the way through. Just sew a part to the left and a part to the right. You could do this, of course, by with a sewing machine. I once said that in another video. I'm not bothering to do this with my tarot bags. I really like the time I have to kind of work with it, just doing it by hand. So I'm going to sew just these little parts here, like 2 centimeters on this side and 2 centimeters on this side, and then I'll be back. All right, so this is what you end up with. Don't mind the folds, I've already ironed it, so just for the next step, but I will show you that later. So it's open here, as you can see, and I've just sewn it on the outer part. And you don't have to get rid of the excess yarn, because you won't be able to see it afterwards anyway, so why bother? Okay, what you're going to do next is you're going to flip this one over, grab the seam, and I'm again using this side so you can see it better, because I think the black, it's quite difficult to see what I'm doing on the black cloth. Okay, so you flip this over. Now the seam is inside here, like you can see, but you can't see anything from the outside, right? Okay, and again, it's open here. I advise you to go and iron the cloth at this point the way I did. So you have a pretty sharp fold up here, because I think it's easier, it's easier to work with afterwards. So go and iron your cloth. What you're going to do now is you are going to take the upper part and flip it over, as you can see here, just on top of the other. And now I have to look at the measurement. It was 2.7. Okay, because I want the flap to start kind of at this point, so here, not at the back, but at this point, I need to add the top. Now, okay, so it's 2.7 centimeters, so I'm going to measure this up. Just from the end here to this point, it has to be 2.7. And the rest of it has to be like all of the back and half of the bottom. Okay, so if you want to kind of see if you've done right, you can measure this one up again. I'm not going to do this, but I just wanted to tell you. So I've put this one up here. Now I'm really grabbing this firmly and I'm flipping this over, ensuring that it doesn't move. So it should be 2.7 here and 2.7 here, and it is. Because now you're going to do the exact same thing with the black cloth, just flipping it over and laying it on top of the other cloth. So this is what you end with. I'm going to flip this again just because, again, I think you can see better if I'm working on the purple cloth and not on the black one. And what you're going to do now, just align it very carefully so everything works together beautifully. Oh, it doesn't want to come over here. Come on. Okay. Now you're going to pin. It doesn't have to be absolutely exact just because you have this seam allowance, so don't bother too much. What you're going to do next is you're going to pin all of these sides, the very top here and this side, leaving the bottom open. You're not going to do anything to the bottom, just to the sides. Okay, and you're going to pin this together again with your pins, like so, because this is where you're going to sew your bag. To line this a bit more here because it doesn't look that good. Okay, so that's better now. And again, just pin it together. All the way to the top. Okay, I'm going to do the rest off camera just because I think you know what I mean by now. Okay, what you're going to do next is you will sew exactly where the pins are. So the upper side to the right here, to the point, down again, and the side that's at the bottom right now. Again, leaving open. Leave the space open. Don't do anything to it. Just leave it open. Okay. I'm going to do this now. I'm going to sew all the way around here, leaving the left side untouched, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm almost done, as you can see, but I wanted to show you my favorite stitch if I'm sewing by hand. So maybe this might be helpful for you as well. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of coming back to myself, aligning the needle with the seam and coming out of the fabric again like 5 millimeters farther away. So And again, coming back to myself, aligning the needle and coming out of the seam, out of the fabric. I mean, you could obviously do this, like I could go on, just, but I find this stitch to be stronger and it looks nicer on the fabric, I think. So I use this one as well if I'm doing a seam that's visible, because it's very nice on one side. On the other side, it's not that nice because you have these overlapping, you can't see because it's black on black, but you have these overlapping yarn. But I think on one side it really looks pretty nice. Okay, just 2 more and then I'm done. And I can show you what's going to happen next. I'm almost out of yarn, so that's pretty good. Okay, ensure that you go right to the very bottom of the fabric. So it's 1 more stitch right here, right down here at the very bottom. Okay, now I'm just doing some knots here to ensure that the yarn doesn't come off again. So just 2 knots and that's it. Again, you don't have to bother with the rest here because you won't be able to see it anyways. Okay, what you're going to do now is you have this opening here and you have 1 opening in here where you just you can just feel it with your fingers. What you're going to do now is grab the very tip, go with your fingers through both holes, grab the very tip. Oh, I forgot one thing. Step backwards, because what's a good idea to do is to cut off excess of the seam allowance, especially at the edges. So I'm going to do this very quick because you don't need the seam allowance to be that big with tarot bags anyways, as they're usually not that used, or that there is not that much pressure working there. So you could go on, if you work with a sewing machine, you could go on and kind of zigzag over the seam allowance to ensure that the fabric won't kind of rip apart or fringe. So I'm not going to do this now. I don't think it's necessary. Okay. Just cutting a bit of the point. Okay, we don't need this. Now it's the turning. I'm sorry, sometimes I'm a bit all over the place. Okay, so get your hand in here, get your fingers through the opening you left and grab the very point of the flap, turn it inwards. So I have it in my my fingers now. And now you're going to turn the whole thing upside down once. And now it really doesn't look like anything great, right? But what you're going to do next is you're going to go on turning. Oh, I need to do it on this side. Go on grabbing it out on the side that you want to be the outside. So in this case, it's like here it's the dark blue, not the light blue. So in my case, I need to pull on the black side to kind of pull the whole fabric over each other. And what you're left with, something like this. And this looks like a bag almost, right? you can go ahead and kind of try to get this point a bit more pointy. And what I would do right now is I would go on and iron all the seams to make them flat. So you really can go on working. And you see this one's still open, but we come to that later because now I'm going to iron the fabric and I'll be right back. All right, I ironed the bag, as it's a bag right now. And there are a couple of things more to do, but if you're as curious as me and you worked for, I don't know, maybe an hour or so on a bag like this, you want to know if it fits, right? So that's something I'm going to do right now because I really want to know if it fits. And oh, gorgeous! It does fit. Beautiful. And again, I mean, this is not the first bag that I'm doing, and still I'm nervous at this point because I usually think, oh my goodness, if it doesn't fit, what am I going to do? So there are a couple things left to be done now. You have to add whatever you chose to use to close the bag. So I'm adding this here to the bag. And what I like to do as well is I like to create the illusion of a box in a way. So I like to create these edges here, which I don't have right now because it's pretty pointy. So what I'm what I'm doing for this is I'm turning the bag over to the, in this case, left side, because it's the side that I'm not going to see. And I'm aligning the seams. So I'm laying the seams on top of each other. So I'm creating some pointy ears in a way right here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm finding, I know that the bottom of the bag is or should be 2.7 centimeters. So I'm finding the spot where it is from one side to another 2.5 centimeters. So let's see, it would be something here. Okay, around here. You don't have to be like totally precise. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pin this. So I'm marking kind of the spot with the needle, like so. Doing this exact same thing on the other side as well. Again, finding the spot, marking it with the needle, like so. What you have to do now is just sew exactly alongside your needle to create this kind of box illusion. Again, I'm going to do this off camera because, I mean, I have to see what I'm doing. Again, I really can't see pretty much because of the tripod. So, tripod, water bottle, a bottle. So I'm doing this off camera and I'm going to put on these, I really don't know what it's called, but this thing. So I can close the bag and then I'll be back with the finished result. All right, almost done. There's one important step that I kind of forgotten to talk about because obviously we still have to close this gap. Won't look too nice with this. So there is a stitch, in German it's called Blindstich. I think it might be called blind stitch in English. I hope so, because this is what we're going to do with this seam, because you don't want to be able to see that we closed it afterwards. So what you're going to do, I don't know if you can actually see this. Come on, focus up here, please. Okay, I've got yarn and needle. So you're going to go into like the upper part here, stitch into it. It kind of hurts at the beginning, it'll be easier, and come out very shortly after that. You can see it's just maybe 2 millimeters. And then you go over to the other fabric and do exactly the same on the same level. So I'm going to go right here, stitch in, come out after like maybe 2 millimeters. At this moment you're able, I mean you're not, because it's not focusing, come on, but generally you are able to see the stitches very lightly, but or just little, not lightly, but as you're going along, you then can kind of pull the yarn there's a little knot in the yarn. I really hate this. Let me just take care of this first. So, okay, it's gone. You can pull the yarn very lightly, and so kind of the gaps will close and you won't be able to see anything. So no one will know that you closed this gap afterwards. So like this, you're just pulling ever so slightly and there's nothing left to be seen. So it's a perfect perfect seam. Would be nice if you will focus up here. Okay, I'm doing just 1 or 2 more so you can see what I mean. Again, just go into the kind of into the fold, come out after like 2 millimeters, do the same height in the black, and again come back. It's a pretty common stitch. I mean, I'm doing this kind of tutorial in a way like I'm assuming, or I have to kind of assume that you as a viewer never ever never ever sewn something. So I'm talking as if I have to kind of tell you what to do from scratch. I mean, obviously, if you've already sewn some stuff, you will know what to do, and it's just about the pattern. So but I still hope that it was kind of helpful. It's a bit different or a bit hard to do this on camera because it's something you really have to be able to see what you're doing, but kind of have to look around my vase and my plastic bottle. But I think it's all right. Can't see properly. Okay, I'll do this off camera because I just can't see what I'm doing, and it's just this little gap here because I've already done this part in this short time. So it doesn't take long to do this, even less if you are actually able to see what you're doing. And after I finish that, we're ready. I mean, then it's done. I'm not coming up with anything else to do. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, that's it. Finished bag. I had to come back to my my desk because the light in my kitchen was getting too dark. So just so you can see, if it might please focus up here. It's all closed. Nothing else. No hole. I really like that there are no seams seen in the inside and the outside. I really like that. Of course, you can see like the little edges I did down here, but I mean they're down there. You really can't see them. And what I like to try to do is whenever I'm sewing on some like buttons, or in this case these thingies, I don't know the name, I'm really trying to just kind of penetrate the upper fabric. So now when I'm turning this around, you can see that you can't see anything because I've never penetrated the second fabric. Same here. So it's just I've just gone through the back, black through the wool. But of course you all want to see, maybe you want to see, maybe you don't, but I want to see the finished result. So this is the new home of my Ludy Lescot Tarot. What do you think? I mean, it's all black, of course, but I wanted it to be like dark, and there's still some things up there, but some hairs and stuff. But I will get rid of that later. So that's it. This is how I make my tarot bags. I was taught to do these kind of things, these kind of bags, or the pattern. Whoa, way back. I think my mom told me how to do this. So I don't have like a real pattern other than the one that I made myself. But I Googled just today to find some sites that you might want to look at, and I found a German site for that. But there are some photos and some drawings to kind of go with what we've done, or what I've done with this bag today. So I'm going to link to that site in the description box. And of course you can do this kind of pattern with almost anything. You can change up the fabric. You can kind of, you don't have to go like upright. You can go like this, because it's all the same. It's the way you do this is the same for all of this. You can do like square edges here. You can, well, you can do whatever you want. So it's just the basics is similar for all my bags. So it's always this kind of pattern. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too long, or I wasn't going into too much detail for you. And if you're making tarot bags now, I would love to see the results as usual. So please link to your tarot bags in the comment box below. I hope you have a very nice day today. Okay, have a nice day. Until next time, bye.